allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all of you in the audience that don't know what's going on, Sean has been complaining, Chuck has been complaining about our chairs for a year now. He's after the staff to get us new chairs. And us two don't think we need new chairs. These are pretty nice.
And they don't have to
He
have them.
complains all the time.
And they really don't need the chairs, I guess. But
No, well, like someone went out and got him a nice new chair. It's got a good grip in here, so it's got good air conditioning. You can use it for a lot of things. But I won't go into it.
okay, first thing is to approve the agenda. Any additions, changes to the existing agenda? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Second by Dave Brusick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
First thing on the agenda, and that's probably why most of the people are here, Mary Jo, it's not to see us guys, us people up here in the front, it's for your special day. First thing I guess I would like to do is make a motion to approve the resolution that we have in front of us regarding for Mary Jo. Second by Sean Ryan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, with that in mind.
I oppose.
I oppose. Yeah, I don't think Deb Mary Jo explained to Deb that she's really not on the voting part of the
Let's be noted though in the minutes.
Yeah.
She may not be here next time.
I was going to say, Mary Jo, you might not be leaving if you can't train your. But Mike would like to present the resolution to Mary Jo. Mary Jo, would you want to say a few words?
I would, but before I come up, I'd like to give some background for our home listening audience that Mary Jo has been with the city here since, not certain, when was dirt created? Excuse me, it's March 26th of 1995. No, that's not that old. But Mary Jo was originally hired as a secretary billing clerk at the administration department back in March of 1995. In 2002, she was promoted to the newly created position of planning clerk. Besides carrying out those duties as planning clerk, she's also provided significant administrative support to the administrator's office over the years. And what I find a little bit unusual in that, when I came in 2008 and Mary Jo agreed to come up and help take the minutes, that my predecessor used to take the minutes, but as we've expanded the data and the information and the assistance we've provided to the council, it's very difficult to do this job as well as the minutes. And so Mary Jo agreed through discussion to take on that duty. Well, not only was it that, but besides taking the minutes and typing the minutes, she's helped coordinate the licensing and permitting process and the application process for liquor licenses, for gambling licenses and permits, golf cart permits, parking permits, refuse hauler permits, pesticide applicators, etc. She's been a real aid and assist with the city elections process. She handled the ambulance billing, payroll, and collection process, coordinated the city's ordinances, resolutions, contract files, and then did other administrative typing responsibilities, generally being the positive face of the city for everyone who came to the front counter or called into the city for assistance in the planning, building, inspection, and administration. Her talents and customer service skills and work experience over the past 22 years are going to be tremendously missed by everyone who's had the pleasure of working with her, as well as anyone from the public who's ever needed her assistance. The other ironic piece is that in the job description that Mary Jo had for being the planning technician, none of those administrative duties that I read to you were part of that job description. Somehow they found under that category and any other items that go with, somehow that's how it got included. Normally Mary Jo has had a hand in helping prepare this resolution, so she fully knows what's contained in it, that we really couldn't surprise her very much because she and I have worked since I came to create these and try to provide these to all the employees that retire from the city. And so we were able to do it separately, but we couldn't hide it or really bring it into tonight's meeting without her knowing it. So it isn't much of a surprise. But let's go out front, Mary Jo, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like to read it to you and have Ken come up, and the mayor, if you'll come down. We'll do this out front.
I just want to say one thing is, Mary Jo, you've ever watched the show MASH? And, Colonel Blake would be there, and Radar would put stuff, just sign this, and that's great. Mary Jo is my radar. She would go, and I know if she gave me something to sign, it was fine to go. She gave her blessing. It was a lot better than me having to read it. So I'm going to miss you, Mary Jo. You've been a great employee of the city. I'm glad I got to know you a little better now the last few years as mayor, but you're going to be sadly missed. But we also want to congratulate you on your retirement and wish you the best.
While everybody's getting in position, Mary Jo, all those things that Mike read about you, now you gotta make sure that Deb can do all of this. I think that should weigh heavily on your soul. That, you're giving somebody else a huge job to do. I think you should feel guilty. I think you should stay here.
It's my pleasure tonight as we take a look at reading resolution number 17-03-20-01. And for those that quite don't understand what our numbering system is, that would be March 20 of 17, and it's the first resolution. And it's a resolution recognizing Mary Jo Hruby. And you'll have to bear with me. Whereas Mary Jo Hruby has faithfully served the city of New Prague in the positions of Secretary, Billing Clerk, and Planning Clerk from March 26 of 1995 to March 31 of 2017. Whereas she has always effectively, conscientiously, and professionally represented the city of New Prague in a distinguished fashion. And whereas her efforts have been largely responsible for the excellent reputation, growth, and overall well-being of the city of New Prague. And whereas all the citizens of the city of New Prague have been the beneficiary of her efforts, talents, and abilities for the past 22 plus years. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of New Prague, Minnesota, that this community and City Council express and record their esteem and high appreciation of her character, dedication, and contributions, which have earned her the respect and friendship of all who have had the pleasure of working with her. And be it further resolved that this City Council extend best wishes to Mary Jo Hruby for many years of good health and happiness in her retirement, adopted by the Council this 20th day of March 2017.
I'm going to relax because Mary Jo really likes to give a good speech. So.
And before she does that, Ken has a little gift here from the department heads.
Yeah, Mary Jo, from the department head team, Mike, myself, Glenn, Bruce, Jim, and Patty, who's not here tonight. I want to give you another gift card if you and Dick wanted to go out to dinner sometime. We were trying to line something up for tonight initially at a particular place, but it didn't work out. But here's a gift card for you from the department head team. So thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you for 12 years, working up at the front counter with you initially, and then the past few years, it's been fun.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And I enjoy working for the city, and I enjoyed working for the city and being part of the team, working, representing the city of New Prague.
And with that, normally I'd have her stick around and finish the minutes for the meeting tonight, but I think due to the recognition that we're doing, we'll give her the night off, so you're free to go.
Okay, that's a tough act to follow. Next on the agenda, we are going to talk about the bid process, or approving the bid processing for the, is it the final phase of the baseball field?
It is, Mayor. We have with us tonight some of the members of the team, Engineer Brian Jurdy and Jerry from Orioles. And I'm going to let Brian just briefly talk about the components, but the action at the conclusion of his remarks is that we adopt the resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering the advertisement for bids. Brian will talk just real briefly about the change that we've gone through in the last couple of weeks from the discussion you heard from us back on March 3rd as it relates to the issue above the first base dugout with the scorekeeper's booth versus now the press box. So with that, I'll...
Thanks, Mike. The plans that we've prepared for this round of improvements to Memorial Park largely include some, the major items are the new dugouts and the press box. The reason we're delayed 2 weeks from the last time we were going to do this was in working with the state as well as Chad, we found a provision buried deep in the code relating to accessibility that we wanted to make sure was properly identified in the plans so that the press box could be used for its intended use, being press, announcing, scorekeeping, and that there wouldn't be any restrictions to that use, and the issue being its function as a press box. So, but the improvements that we're showing in the plans and specifications for this year also include the new some additional plaza area, a new backstop and fencing. We're actually moving from where the current backstop is, we're moving it up about 10 feet to increase our area behind that for fan amenities. And also because from a baseball perspective, there's too much room behind home plate. Also included in that, we're creating or installing 2 new light poles in that plaza area. The ones that are currently there are kind of the albatross of all the improvements we've done because they're so big and in a bad spot. This is the plan that addresses that. We've been planning this the whole way along, but we had to get to this year to be able to do that. The other components, some new fencing, some miscellaneous site improvements, and probably the last thing that's not in these plans but we'll be bidding separately is new irrigation for the whole field. So that's, I don't know if I missed anything.
Are we utilizing any of the existing irrigation, or is that going to just be?
It'll be abandoned.
Just to be abandoned?
Yep.
Okay.
Part of the biggest challenge in that is they've taken a look at some of the coverage and the inconsistency as far as the size of some of the piping and the coverage areas that we're trying to rework some of the field improvements in that we can't get the coverage out of the existing system, so thus necessitating the outright change in all the irrigation. Plus we hope to beef up the improvements in that in the outfield area compared to what we've got there now.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for Brian?
We take bids on April, what are the next couple of pages, the bid schedule's in there.
See it. Yeah. Can't remember off the top of my head now.
Bids are proposed to be open at 2 p.m. on Thursday, April 13th.
Yeah, April 13th. And then we'll evaluate, and we're hoping to come to the May 1st council meeting with recommendation.
Okay, good.
The intent would start, I believe it's after the 4th of July.
Yeah, July 10th would be our anticipated construction start date.
And is that, will the Orioles be done, or will the Orioles then just play all away games?
We're going to play all of our home games before July 4th of July weekend, and then we will play our playoffs and stuff at other fields. We'll find fields for everything else.
Okay.
Take a couple of years.
Yeah, because what is the game, or the schedule of the field for the actual 18th tournament year?
The championship's always on Labor Day, so it'll be
Right.
the Labor Day weekend and 2 weekends before that.
But now,
As of now.
do they have you not use the field after, like,
Usually July 1st, most
July
of them shut
1st.
it down. That gives you time to kind of final do any final improvements you want.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for bids.
Second.
Second by Dave Brusick. There's no other comments. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Okay, passes 5-0. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Interesting to see how it shapes. Okay.
I'd just like to mention, Chuck, that these people have done an awful lot of work. Thanks to their crew, about 12 to 16 of them have typically been working very hard on them, along with Mike and Glenn. And they've come a long way. And I think all those that participated in 2018 event will really be happy with what the Prague's done, and what they've done.
Yeah. Well, it looks nice what's been done so far, so.
Thank you for
Great
your
job.
support. We have to wear Shakopee now for another.
Yeah. Thank you.
Why not? Not on 13.
Mike, I think you're taking the next,
Yes, you've got
amendment to close out?
a revised second amendment that relates to the amendment and closeout of the contract for private development between the city, Scott County, the school district, and Chart. You approved the second amendment at the last meeting. Subsequent to that, through additional discussions and review by Charting, they had a couple of requested changes that I'm not certain the city attorney thought were absolutely necessary, but was willing to accommodate. And essentially, I've got those noted that the word obviously revised and the date of the 20th on page 1. On page 5, you've got a couple of word deletions and an addition on page, a couple of minor ones. And then as you get to page 6, just a word change from close out to terminate. And then really last of all is the last sentence of section 3 on page 7 is just, again, a word change as well as the addition of a sentence. Scott's reviewed that. He doesn't have any qualms or issues with that, and is recommending that the council approve the revisions. With that, then, we would close out the final agreement and send it all to all the other parties, that being the school, the county, and Chart, and then would prepare a billing for the preparation of all of the materials with the second amendment, and the closeout and payback of the amount identified in section 2C on page 6.
Anyone have any questions for Mike?
This should end it. We should not have any further revisions following this tonight.
Okay. Look for a motion to approve the revised second amendment.
Second.
A motion by Dave Brusick, second by Sean Ryan. There's no other comments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, passes 5-0. Consent agenda.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
The budget that we had put together did include this amount, but we had it in there in case, what were we going to use that? What was it going to earmark for, the extra money for the 2017 budget? We had it kind of set aside.
You mean on the tax side of it?
Yeah,
On
there
the
was-
revenue?
We had it in the budget.
That was when we put together the budget. We had the separate tax abatement, and we eliminated that for 2017. And you made some revisions then in the general fund tax levy.
So
We reduced that levy as well and eliminated this.
So we did, okay,
Yep, so it's completely out of the 2017 budget.
thank you.
Consent agenda. Any questions, issues, any items in the consent agenda? If not, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Second by Jenna Tuma. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Okay. Passes 5-0. Miscellaneous, we're to that part already. Patrick?
Nothing.
Mitch? Mitch is good. Jim?
I have nothing tonight.
Bruce? Welcome back.
I have nothing.
Glenn?
I have nothing.
Ken? Mike?
All right, I'll change. I can't let it go by. Saturday, the city kind of hosted with our facility the town hall meetings that Representative Vogel and Senator Graham, excuse me, I just said, were here, and we had upwards of, I believe it was about 50 to 55 attendees, so it was, the facility worked out well, and we had them up in front with the microphones, and so I think the event turned out well, and they hosted that from about 10 a.m. till about 11:15, 11:20, and so it was nice to host that. Thursday, Mayor Nicolai, Councilmember Jurek, and I will go up to the legislative conference put on by the League of Minnesota Cities on Thursday. I believe Councilmember Ryan may join us in the afternoon if scheduling permits, and so we've got meetings already set up there. And then this Wednesday, unless I'm taking your thunder, Mayor, we're hosting the LeSueur County officials meeting at the golf course. So if anybody is interested in attending, this is the easy one to attend. You don't have to go far.
Mike, can I ask, what was the topics were you here of the conversation?
Well, there was quite a diversity, and Patrick, I'm sure, will have an article, but it was anything from healthcare to school to federal government stuff to pensions to budget, so real diversity that always kind of interesting. Yeah, Social Security, that, you know, a number of things that I think there was some misunderstanding from some people that as both Representative Vogel and Senator Drahan explained is that although there's federal impacts that flow down to the state, there were a number of questions specifically more aligned to the federal level, and they weren't able to address those, and you know, they'll have to deal with it as it impacts state legislation. But yeah, real diversity of items. It was quite shocked at the amount of turnout from my perspective. That normally, if you get a dozen people come to these, that's normal. But I think we had a little over, the last count I had was a little over 50 that attended. So I did offer them the facilities since they're here and open and handicapped accessible. That made sense. It got the microphone system, so any of the elderly people should have been able to hear. So I thought it was a good event. The mayor and Amy were both here. They had a busy day. Between Elko New Market here, the Center, LeSueur, and I think Belle Plaine. So they had a full day.
And I think they did both mention that they were probably going to do something similar in a couple months.
Hopefully we can bring them back for a wrap-up of the legislative process. So that's all I have.
Okay. Deb?
I'm good, thanks.
Mary Jo has trained her well. Sean?
Yeah, I want to bring up our TIF senior housing, an article that came out in the paper. Just unfortunately, obviously, our special meeting was not taped, but if anybody had questions, you know, I don't know if the article read right. I've heard that there's been some emails sent out. I have not checked them, my email, city email here these last few days since that, but I will when I get home tonight, but and I'll certainly respond to them, but just in case anybody's watching. You know, my comment in here about the complex not being turned into low-income affordable housing was really the language that we wanted to add, or that I was questioning, was that we needed to put something in there stating that it was senior 55 and above, and if we were going to use TIF money where 20% needs to be put aside for the housing, and if it a minimum of 20%, and that if it was going to be more, that should be also placed in the contract. I'm all for affordable housing senior. If it is designated as senior, that language was not necessarily in there. My question was, would a developer, either the one currently wanting to do the project, or perhaps if he sells that building 10, 12, 15 years from now, where he's still receiving TIF money, could they, if for some reason they were having a tough time filling it with seniors, would they fill those units with non-seniors and make it affordable housing at that point. I think the citizens have a right to know that. I think it should be in the contract. It looks like it probably is going to be in the contract. I know they're still negotiating it with Springstead, our consulting firm. But I want to make sure that that's clearly stated, that the question was not that I was completely against low-income affordable housing. I want to know what the potential was for this project and the tax dollars that potentially would be used with the TIF. I hope that makes it a little more clear. Like I said, I haven't seen the emails. Chuck and I were talking before the meeting. I know that there's been some other councilpeople that have heard from other people, and I just want to make sure that my position is correctly articulated in what my meaning was when we did that. The article necessarily didn't read quite that way, so. I'm kind of curious, do you guys remember it that way? That we were going to put the language in for 55 plus? And that if it was 20%, or that if there was going to be more than the 20%, that somehow is stated so that people have a right to know? And
I didn't think it could be 55. I thought that was part of the project, is it could, that this wasn't being proposed as a senior housing development, and that's...
The way it looked was correct. It didn't seem like when Springstead was going, that there was some ambiguity there. My opinion was that we were kind of told that it was going to be senior living for the simple fact that there was a memory care unit there was assisted living, and Mr. Applebaum, who was here, the developer, stated that he was, that his average tenant was 80. However, that didn't mean if he couldn't sell those units, or if somebody else came in and bought that building, that they could not use it as a senior facility, or make it 50-50 seniors and some other non-55 plus requirement. And if that is the case, if that language isn't specific in the contract and he could change that, I think the citizens have a right to know that that could or could not be a potential. And that was what my question ultimately was. I don't think it was quite reported that way in the press. There obviously is some misunderstanding out there. If people think that I was just against complete affordable housing. So,
as I recall, that was part of what we gave Michaela to, I think there were about 3 points, 3 or 4 points that Mike and Michaela wrote down as what we wanted in the contract. That was one of them, as I recall.
Okay. Anything else, Sean?
no, that was it. I just wanted to make sure that I got on tape, because that meeting was a special meeting and it was not taped. So hopefully that clears up some. I'm sure it won't make everybody completely happy, but it explains my position a little bit better, I hope.
Okay, thank you. David?
Yeah, I have one. It's on that same issue. I got a call from a person who, after reading the article, thought that it was only for people 80 or above. And I tried explaining that, no, this is oriented towards people that are dealing with health issues, in addition to being senior citizens, that they're probably looking at quite a change in life at that time, and that's why this property is being proposed, or this building is being proposed. So I think that if you write anything differently, Pat, you might want to suggest that it can be any senior person, but it's going to be for seniors that do need some, that have some health issues.
Okay.
But Mike, will you clarify that? Is this a senior building or it's not a senior building? It's just for independent living, memory care, and...
Under the definition of the law, as far as the use of the financing, and that's under the senior affordable housing tax increment rules for the use of housing for seniors. In order to use that financing source, the developer or project owner is required to set aside 20% of the units to individuals or families, and in most cases it's either one or you might have two people that are married that are living in there generally. I don't think you generally see more than that at most of the elderly facilities. Most people, kids are long gone by the time they get ready to go into those facilities. At least 20% of the units, so in this case it's a 90-unit facility, 20% would be 18 of the units, have to be set aside for individuals or families at 50% of the county median income. So when you take a look at what their annual income is, that they can't earn more than 50% of the county median income. In the case of using the 2016 numbers for LeSueur County, just as an example, that for a single individual, that income would be just a hair over $25,000 a year, and for a family of two, I think it's a little over $28,000. We don't have the 2017 numbers, so I have to revert back to that. So that would be the maximum annual earnings. It's not what assets they possess, but it's their annual income that would be the determining factor that they qualify for that reduction that would go along with those units that are set aside for affordable senior housing. I think Mr. Applebaum did indicate at the meeting is that his facility in Rosemont, that the average entry age on average was right around 80, is what the age of the residents were that were going into that facility. But they have independent living, assisted living, and memory care as you described.
Does that clarify? Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Anything else, Jen?
No.
Okay, Amy? You know, I don't have anything either, so I guess with that in mind, I don't think we set a record, but close. Yeah, I think it was 20 minutes. I think we're probably 12 minutes too long, but that was because of Mitch. Again, Mitch pulls through again, but guess I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Sean Ryan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Okay, we're out of here. Thank you, everyone.